Hi, I'm Hazel with Major Minor Music Project, and I'm here with Sarah Kitteringham from Smoulder. And do you want to introduce yourself and tell us what genre your band is?
Sure. Yeah. So I'm Sarah. I am the vocalist of Smoulder. We're an epic metal band from Toronto and the United States. And I also am a metal journalist who works at Bandcamp and Banger TV and Decibel magazine.
Awesome. How did Smoulder come together?
Myself and Vincent, who's the guitarist, we started jamming 7, 8, 9 years ago. I was a drummer at the time, and he wanted to be the singer in a band. And he had just switched from his primary instrument of bass. So we basically were the only two people that we knew who were into the kind of metal that we liked, which was more like epic doom and classic doom. And at the time, we were both living in Calgary, and there was a big doom scene, but it was like stoner doom, and both of us thought stoner doom lame. So we were good friends, and we're hanging out a lot, and we were like listening to the same kind of heavy metal. And we were at a party at a friend's house who were incidentally in a stoner doom band, and everybody was jamming and stuff. And it was like 4 o'clock in the morning, and the two of us were like, we should play some real doom.
Nice.
How
Yeah.
the band started.
Who would you say are the biggest influences of the band, or who inspired you to make music?
Oh, it's kind of hard to say off the top of my head, but I'd say that like some of the biggest influences for Smolder are like Reverend Bizarre and Rainbow and Blind Guardian and Running Wild. So bands like that,
Yeah.
but been a music fan for a very long time. So like for me personally as a vocalist, I really enjoy like Great Slick of Jefferson Airplane and Dusty Springfield and Hansi Kirsch is like a huge one, and obviously like Halford and Dio. So
Oh
yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. Nice. Can you describe your latest release?
Yeah, so we had an EP come out last year called Dream Quest Ends. It's got 3 tracks, 2 originals and a cover. And that the A side of the vinyl was the EP, and then the B side was a reissue of our demo, which came out in 2018, I guess it was. So yeah, it's got a Michael Whelan painting. It's kind of unusual in the context of what our music sounds like, because I think we're probably could be considered primarily like an epic heavy metal band, but this EP was a little bit more progressive and a little bit more bluesy, and it kind of went off on a tangent, which we wanted to do. Like we wanted it to sound different than the album, just because we're kind of the opinion that like every single release should offer something new or like be thematically connected. And so this
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
was different for that reason. And we also covered a band called Manila Road, who I think all the guys in the band would say is like one of the primary influences on Smolder, and I probably should have mentioned previously. So yeah.
Nice. What is your favorite memory or like a performance memory as a band?
I guess there's a few, but the last show that we played was probably the most special, even though we've had some really special times. But the last gig that we played, and I think we've talked about this like quite a bit recently as a band, just because of the pandemic and like not being able to play in over a year is like pretty jarring, and not being able to go to shows too. But the last gig that we played was here in Toronto, with a band called Pagan Altar, who I absolutely love. It's like this band is Pagan Altar, so the fact that we got to play with them was like a really big deal. And we also played with Blood Ceremony and Koshmar, which are like 2 bands from Canada that contain like 2 women who I like really respect. So
Yeah.
it was really cool to like be able to play that gig. And even though we were the opening band, there was a lineup outside the door before we got on stage, which was pretty cool. And the gig itself was just really awesome. And we had friends come in from like all over the country for it, and it was just pretty special. And I think all of us have had a conversation where we're like, if that was the last gig we ever get to play, then that's okay, because that's like a really special memory.
Yeah. So I guess you guys have released quite a bit of music. Where do you think your music is reaching the biggest audience?
I don't know. Probably Europe. Like we've been invited. I mean, last year we were supposed to tour Europe, and we were in Greece when the travel ban hit, about to start our first tour.
Mm,
So that kind of sucked. But yeah,
yeah.
it seems like Europe is kind of the place for like epic heavy metal. It's kind of where a lot of the labels and like bands are based. So, but we also have a massive fan base here in North America, which is pretty cool. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, what do you guys do off stage?
Uh, can you be more specific?
Just like relaxing off stage, your hobbies and stuff.
Oh, okay. I mean, a lot of things. Like I'm pretty into like backcountry, like hiking and camping and stuff like that. And I'm like pretty into kayaking and swimming and gardening and like I'm also working on a whole bunch of art books. Like I do a lot of drawing and I'm working on like the liner notes for the second album right now. And we're also,
Oh,
writing
awesome.
that and like working on that. And yeah, I'm gonna move to Finland pretty quickly here. So I'm also learning Finnish. So yeah, days
Oh,
are pretty
awesome.
busy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, do you have some thoughts on the current state of the music industry and with the pandemic and all, and with your working for Bandcamp?
Oh yeah, I've got many thoughts about that. um, yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone would disagree with the fact that the pandemic has been particularly cruel to the live music and music in general. Um, I mean, all of the issues that have been happening with music as a commodity have really been exacerbated like since the internet came into like widespread usage. It's just like the devaluing of music as like a thing that we should actually pay money for. And with the pandemic, obviously, most artists, the way that they're making a living now is by playing live, and we can't play live, then all of your abilities to make
Yeah,
money,
yeah,
the vast majority of your money is gone.
yeah,
And there was very little support for artists like from governments worldwide, and that's not just in North America, but like Finland, for example. Like there was a massive protest from the artist industry this week alone because all of these freelance artists were like, how are we supposed to do anything, and we haven't received any assistance, so
oh wow, yeah,
working for Bandcamp has been, I mean, it's been really good for my mental health. I mean, I've been there for several years now, but I know firsthand exactly how hard the pandemic was. Like when we got trapped in Greece, when the travel ban hit, like we ended up losing like upwards of $10,000, like a small band.
mm,
Like that's a massive financial hit. And we were
yeah,
hardly the only band that happened to. Like people all over the world got caught in that same trap. So being at Bandcamp's been great because I know that what Bandcamp's doing with Bandcamp Fridays has been a huge help to artists. But that doesn't change the fact that, we have all these artists all over the world who basically lost their livelihood overnight, and most of them still
yeah,
have no clear path to
mhm,
when that might come back. So, and now it's gonna be really difficult in the next couple of years because so many small venues have closed down because that's what COVID has done. It's like really
yeah,
devastated like economic systems, and it's not just artists. It's like COVID as a as a pandemic has been brutal. Like it's caused like hundreds of millions of people to lose their jobs, and primarily like the victims of that have been women, LGBTQ folks, and like people of color. So in
yeah,
terms of like social justice, this pandemic has really pushed back like probably 20-30 years of progress, and like that, like we're still grappling with the pandemic happening, so it's hard for us to kind of like conceptualize that as being a thing, but it's yeah, it's a massive thing, and I think about this a lot. I have a master's in like sociology, so like this kind of stuff, I've been like reading and reading and reading about the
yeah,
pandemic, and oh, it sucks. Everything about it sucks. It's been
yeah.
a
I mean, it's hard to be an artist even without the pandemic. So
yeah, yeah. And I mean, artists generally are they're marginalized or at risk, because like our industry, for most people all over the world, like our industry doesn't come with health benefits or
Yeah.
unemployment insurance or the things that you need to be able to like survive a global health crisis.
Yeah.
So it's, yeah, like as I said, working for Bandcamp's been really good for my mental health, because I know that I personally am doing everything I can to like assist artists through this, but like it has been really crappy to see a
Yeah.
lot of people that I know and love like lose their jobs and like their livelihoods overnight. And we still don't know when that's coming back. So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely not a silver lining situation. It sucks. Like,
What do you think would have made it easier in the music industry for when you were getting started?
um, I don't know. I mean, a lot of things. Music industry is like pretty dominated by like, you know, heterosexual white dudes. It's
Yeah.
not known for being super inclusive. And I think when I started out 15, 16 years ago, it was like these issues weren't really being discussed nearly as much. And for a long time, I was kind of like, oh, this seems a lot harder than it should be, given how hard I work. So I think like, you know, obviously it's also very competitive because everybody wants to be an artist, and like there's all these other issues. But yeah, like I would love to see a better social structure and framework for people who work in the arts, whether that be with like more musicians unions, like those types of things that
Yeah.
give people a little bit more safety and a little bit more you know, it's not going to like destroy their lives if they want to pursue art as a career. um
Yeah.
yeah, so there's that. And I would also love to see, and this is something that happens to this day, I'd love to see artists feel and act less competitively and against each other's interests. Like one of the biggest challenges of making it in the industry, like whether that be as an artist or a musician, is like making healthy relationships with other people, and like they're based on reciprocity. And I think because people are so ingrained in this notion that like things have to be competitive, they don't really understand that like working against each other is actually detrimental to their success. And so
Mhm.
like if I had been told when I was younger, like, hey, like everyone should work together, and I had actually encountered more people like that, I think it would have been really beneficial. And like that's one of the things that I work really hard on with Smoulder, with Bandcamp, with writing all those things. It's like sharing my contacts, telling other people how to succeed, because like when we're all competing with each other and like talking shit about each other, we're actually all hurting ourselves and each other. And I think like more people need to be told that, because it's actually better for our success when we're, you know, working together. And like,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, like it's just a weird thing, because like a lot of people really, you know how it is, like the music industry
Yeah.
is very competitive, and like it's kind of crappy because like local bands, for example, like as soon as a local band gets big, it's like everyone's like, oh well, fuck them. And it's like that is the worst attitude. Like
Yeah.
one of our bands succeeds, that is a good thing. Like we should like we should celebrate that success, you know. But
Yeah.
you know, a lot of weird egos and all that stuff. So I'd like to see that away.
Yeah. What advice would you have for young musicians getting started in the music scene?
um be professional and like work together and show up on time and be practiced, you know, like
Yeah.
they're pretty simple things, but I think like just because this is such a weird industry and because like people's egos get involved and everything, I think a lot of people just think that like being talented is enough, but it's not. Like if you're talented, you need to also apply yourself, and you need to like show up to practice, and you need to be like to know your songs. And you know, like when you get to book a gig and you get paid, like make sure that the person who booked the gig, you've thanked them and like followed up with them, and thank the venue
Yeah.
owner, and like thank the artists that you're playing with, because like all of the people around you are how you make a career in the arts.
Yeah.
Like you need to treat all of them with respect, and like, you know, it's just it's good business to say thank you to people and to follow up with people. So all of that, and also just not jumping the gun too quickly. This is a thing that a lot of artists do. They tend to be so excited about, let's say you have an album release coming up. Like, I worked for so long in the music industry before I became a musician myself, where artist after artist after artist I would talk to would be like, oh, well, we're recording our album right now, so we're going to release it in 3 weeks or 3 months or whatever. And I'd be like, yeah, you're not going to, if you're recording right now, like, that's not a realistic timeline, you know? So it's like basically giving things like the appropriate time and space that you need so that you can release them properly is like very important and super integral to your success. And I think more musicians need to internalize that. Like, yes, it's frustrating to be like, I'm recording an album right now, it'll come out in 9 months, but the payoff is huge because then you can set up a proper release campaign, possibly get signed, get some pre-orders, like, and those things are all good, you know, like
Yeah.
hype for your band means people showing up to your gigs. So
Yeah.
you want so
what is coming up next for Smoulder?
well, I mean, we're almost done writing the second album, which is good. And we just got announced this week for Hell's Heroes in 2021. Yes, 2022. Yes, there we go. So for next year, we're going to be playing at Hell's Heroes. Hopefully, fingers crossed that like no COVID variants go crazy and shut the world down again. But yeah, we're supposed to play there in April 2022 with Candlemass and Riot and Sarah Thungle and a bunch of our other friends. And then 2 weeks later, we'll be playing Keep It True in Germany. So rest in peace, sleep. It'll be a pretty
that's awesome. Yeah.
crazy time, but yeah.
It sounds like after COVID, you're kind of gonna just,
Yeah. I think like that's kind of the thing right now. It's like I wouldn't recommend, I suggest to all artists right now, it's like, because the world is like, things are so uncertain, just be patient. Like, if you can, wait it out as best you can, because like now is the time to be writing and to be recording, like doing things you can do safely, instead of like, you know, jumping the gun when we don't have protocols in place right now yet to like yeah. It's a global health crisis, just like chill it out, take a step back. So
what will be your ultimate 4-band bill to play on?
oh boy, am I allowed to pick bands that are dead?
Yeah, go for it.
I would love to have us, Atlantean Codex, which is a German band who's like currently active, who I really like. Oh gosh, we've already played with Pagan Altar and with Sarah Thungle, who were both really fun, but we've already played with them. So I'll say the third band would be Grendel's Sister, also a German band, but they're really great. I absolutely love them. And then if we could have Rainbow headlining, got James Dio once with Heaven and Hell before he passed away. But I'm obsessed with Rainbow. I would love to have seen them play live.
Yeah. Awesome. Thanks so much for doing this interview. You can check out Smoulder on Bandcamp, and they have lots of cool merch. And maybe you'll go to the metal festival too.
Yeah.
Pretty sick. So thank you so much, Sarah.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks, Hazel. Have a good one.
You too.
Bye.